We are here in the Right Choice Media Room with Frank Biggins from Biggins Landscaping, longtime friend of mine. Welcome here, Frank.
Well, thanks for having me.
You are in the landscaping business. You started a business recently. Before we get to any of that, you helped assemble this room that is still a work in progress. I still have to put some finishing touches.
Yeah, I did assist in that a little bit.
Definitely, you were part of the OG happenings of getting the media room going.
I helped start it, but I can't take credit for finishing it.
And it's not done yet. Actually, I was really hoping that I would have it done for when you came in. Stevie's going to help me put up some cool decals on that wall there to give it a little bit more character. We still got to put up some curtains back here. There's still some room for improvements here.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That GoPro's got to get changed with a real camera at some point. But
yeah, you gotta up it up a little bit.
So
nice mics though. Nice.
Yeah,
mics.
the mics are good. This
like
thing
them.
is sweet. TV works. We got a backlight there.
I like it, and a little pizza guy. Yeah,
we've known each other since grade 9.
Yeah, since grade 9.
Lakeshore, we played football. We can skip that stuff. The first thing I want to not skip, but the first thing I want to talk to you about is your landscaping business, because I'm really happy, proud. I love that you've got it. You started it how long ago now?
This is coming to the end of the 4th season.
4th season.
So we're going into season 5.
It does not feel like that long ago that you were here on that side of the basement. You were like, I'm about to pull the trigger and do this.
Yeah. It happened fast, and when you're working, time flies. So it's like, it feels like yesterday that we were down here making content. And that was a huge help to get me moving. Is the biggest thing with starting the landscaping business is, what do I do in the winter? Because to snowplow, you need a sufficient enough truck, trailer. It's a big investment. The insurance is high. So I really didn't want to get into snowplowing on my own, especially not that huge investment right off the hop. So being able to kind of come down here and learn a little bit of the renovation stuff was awesome. For one, to keep me busy and to keep me in the mindset of how do I make being self-employed work?
Yeah.
So totally. It was a huge step. I mean, I appreciate it. And now we're in the room that I helped start build doing a podcast, which is, it feels good.
The circle of life, baby.
I love it.
Want to start with what do you do with your landscaping company? It's Biggins Landscaping.
Yes.
And there's some stuff.
So some of the things I do are listed here.
Yeah. Do you need the cheat sheet? Can you tell me? Oh, see, now it's gone.
Oh, no.
This is perfect timing.
I'm a real estate agent. I sell realty.
Okay, we're going to just talk about something else for 1 minute until your cheat sheet comes back.
No, it's fine. I know what I do for landscaping. In fact, that's only Cole's notes of the stuff that I do. So
you operate in the Niagara region. We'll start with that. What's your parameters of where you'll do stuff?
Well, I am located in Port Colborne, so everywhere in Port Colborne, and I keep kind of working my way out. So generally, Port Colborne all the way to Fort Erie, Waynfleet, I get a lot of jobs. Welland, St. Catharines, the Falls, that's the majority of the work. The further out you go, it starts becoming a lot of travel time, a lot of moving parts, where I get my materials and everything like that. You have to source out different things. So it's easier for me to stay closer to home because I have spots here where I can dump stuff and everything else. And the further away you get, it's a little bit more logistically challenging. So I have done jobs as far as Grimsby. I was offered a couple of jobs to do out in Hamilton. And if it's a big enough job and it's worth it, I'll go out that far. Yeah. But for the most part, if someone's like, hey, can you come to Grimsby and aerate my lawn? It's no, I'm not going to do that, right? It's just not worth my time to go that far.
Yeah, no doubt.
So if it's big,
now that this is back, you can tell us the things that you do.
So I do interlocking brick, rock work, grading and sodding, all types of landscape installations, water features, custom yard work, armor stone, drainage service, just to name a few.
And I can start with, you have personally done interlock brick over at Gonzalez Farms, and you did a great job there. So that's something I've firsthand experienced, and it was great.
Yeah, that's one of my specialties is interlocking brick. I've done quite a bit of it. So once you do it enough, you just kind of get into a routine of how to install it. And, the biggest thing with interlocking brick is everybody sees old interlocking brick that was done 30 years ago, and all the joints are full of weeds, and they're like, yeah, I don't want brick because it gets full of weeds. But the way you do it now with the technology and the materials they have now, it doesn't look anything like that. Like you have the right sand you put in the joints, you don't get weeds in it and everything. So a lot of people have this bad concept that interlocking brick means weeds. And if you do it right...
How long will the weeds not grow through? Because there's still no weeds at Gonzalez Farms.
Yeah. So the products generally are warranted for 20 to 25 years.
For weeds?
For the polymeric sand, yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's what it's warranted for. But stuff happens, like if you do an interlocking brick walkway and someone drives a truck over it and it warps all the bricks or pushes them down or something, then, you might have some weeds come through those cracks, but it's easy to fix.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that, because I have thought the same thing, and I haven't really thought about the weeds over at Gonzalez Farms there, but there aren't any.
That's why you haven't thought about them.
Because they're not there.
That's right.
And that was a pretty healthy size job too, right? Because you did the walkway up and it was around.
Yeah, all along the house and then around the back a little walkway.
And I don't think there's one weed there. Now, next time I'm there, I'm going to do a little visual.
You're going to look, yeah. If there's any, they'll creep in from the sides. Yeah, but very rarely do you get any right in the middle.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. So you do, you mentioned these things.
Yeah.
Rock work. What's rock work mean? What does that even mean?
So you ever see like the retaining walls, like rock retaining walls? Like if you have higher ground up here and lower ground here and you want to retain all that.
Jordy's got some next door. Yeah,
exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So you can build rock walls to do that. I've done shoreline rock walls, like along the lake to protect from the waves and the erosion and everything. So rock work just means, rock walls, retaining walls, sometimes just like aesthetic rocks in a garden, but like large size ones, not just little tiny ones. Like, sometimes you just want to have like a couple here and a couple there to kind of naturalize it a little bit. So,
and that goes hand in hand with, like, I've seen you do, I've seen pictures of some of the waterfalls that you've done.
Yeah.
Those things. You've done some beautiful ones.
Yeah. I really enjoy doing ponds. It's one of my favorite things to do, just because when you build a pond, properly, like you're just creating a space for nature. Like when you do a garden, you plant some plants, sure, you might get some nature there. But when you do a pond, I mean, you get immediately, there's birds flocking to the waterfalls and drinking out of it, and you get fish, frogs, you get all kinds of stuff, right? And it's just they're amazing. Plus, it's like it's interactive, right? Like you can go out and you can feed the fish and you can hear the sound of the waterfall. Like that was one of my favorite things when I used to live at my folks' home. My dad had the waterfall in the backyard that we built, and I would leave the window open, and listening to that all night would put me to bed, right? Like it's awesome. Just that rushing water sound. So
yeah, that's a good call. I never thought about that.
Yeah, it's nice little ambient noise in the backyard.
Why? Like, what's a competitive advantage for big, like I know, but maybe some people, like why would somebody call Biggins Landscaping to do some rock work or a pond or some brick work?
Well, that's a good question. I would say that, one, I'm not a huge company. So my overhead, I don't have, 3 secretaries to pay for and landscape designers and everything else. I don't have a huge operation where I have like to cover the costs of like a huge shop and everything like that. So I can come in a little bit less as far as the overhead goes. That's one reason. But the second reason is because it's me, right? And
no doubt.
I'm a pretty handy guy. I do good work, and I think that speaks for itself. I'm of the opinion where I either do something right or I don't want to do it at all. I've had people like ask me can you like just kind of half-ass do it? And I won't do it because that's my work. And if I do it half-ass, I know it's not going to do what they want. And they're going to call me back and say, hey, it's not doing whatever you wanted it to do.
Yeah.
It's like, that's because you wanted to do it half-ass.
Yeah.
And I just don't want those problems. I either do it all the way properly or I don't do it at all.
Yeah.
And when I do that, it's better for me because I always have quality projects to showcase, and I rarely have to go back and fix stuff because I did it right the first time. Right. So
I'm gonna build on that for you a little bit too.
Go ahead.
Good reason to use Biggins Landscaping is not just because it's you, but you do great work at a good price, and I trust you. So like,
well, that's good.
yeah. I mean, it's hard to trust anybody until you work with them or know them. But I think like when you get the work done, you're not going to rip somebody off. You're going to get the job done. You're going to do it well. Like when you say it's going to be something, that's what it's going to be. Because there's a lot of people out there in all facets of business. I don't know the landscaping business at all. I mean, I kind of met Jesse recently, and that's like my exposure to the landscaping business.
Yeah.
But I just know any business, you want to work with people you can trust. So like,
it's just a huge part of having any business. Like in order for someone to get your business, especially as like a real estate agent, like, I mean, that's a lot of money on the line here. If they don't trust you, that's you got to have that, you know,
exactly.
And you know, when you're landscaping or when you're talking to a homeowner about like stuff that they want to do, you have to build that trust with them, both ways. Like they have to trust in me that I am experienced, that I know what I'm talking about, that I'm not bullshitting them, that I do what I'm going to say I'm going to do in the timeline that I say I'm going to do it. And likewise, I have to have trust in them that they're going to allow me the freedom to do what they want me to do the way I do it, because I know that's the right way to do it. Yeah. And I have to trust that they're going to pay me at the end of the job.
Yeah,
right?
That's an interesting part. That's something that's different in your job than mine.
Yeah,
like
a little bit. Yeah.
Well, I get paid after a job is executed too. The lucky thing for me is that there's a lot of regulation around our industry, and all funds are held in like trust accounts.
Yes.
And we could not get paid in a job, but I've been in the business 10 years and I don't really have to chase money down. That's I would say a luxury of the job I'm in.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there you have a little bit more legal protection on how you get paid compared to how I get paid.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. How does it tend to work when somebody hires you? What are some of the like deposit up front?
Yeah, it all depends on the size of the job. If it's a really big job and I need a lot of materials, then I will often, get 50% of it up front to cover the cost of materials and everything else. If it's a smaller, like a little $1,200 job, I'm fine with them just paying me at the end of the job.
Right.
One, because I have the trust in them that they're going to pay me. So on a smaller job, like, worst case scenario, I got to eat $1,200. Okay. But if I'm doing a $50,000 or $60,000 landscape install, I'm not going to take that risk.
Can't take that gamble.
No, I'm going to definitely at least cover all the materials and whatever needs to be covered. But
have you ever had somebody not pay?
In the 4 years that I've been doing this, no. I've never had somebody not pay me in full at the end of a job yet. Yeah. I've had some people take a little while to pay me, which is understandable, or they've had to pay me in like amounts, in installments. So, but yeah, I've never had an issue with that. But part of the reason for that as well is that just as they're interviewing me to see if they want me to do the job when I go to do a quote, I'm interviewing them to see if they're the type of homeowner that I want to work for. Yeah. If the first thing they say is, can you do it any cheaper? Can you do it any cheaper? It's like, that's the type of person who's at the end of the job, no matter how good I do, are going to try to find ways to pick it apart and get the cost down after we've already agreed on a price. Yeah. So I'm more reluctant to work for a person like that. Totally. Because I don't even want to take the chance that I'm not going to get paid on a job. So I have no problem turning down jobs. If the person that wants me to do the work, I don't trust them.
Yeah, totally. It's definitely, like you said, it's a two-way street. Yeah. That would suck so much. Because like, I understand people's expectations. I have it in my job too, and to make sure that we fulfill those and everything. But that would be rough at the end of a job after everything, and then them trying to renegotiate if you accomplish everything that was agreed on for sure.
Yeah, I did have one situation where a homeowner tried to kind of haggle a little bit on the price. So the situation was, they asked me for a quote to do a very, very large job. And I said, if you want me to quote you on doing this whole job, then, this is going to be the price. I said, however, like if you want to break this down into smaller sections, right, I would be able to, you know, like, and they were within a budget, they just moved. So there was a lot of factors, and it was a good job. I wanted to get the job. One of the pictures of it is up there. And so basically I told them I would do time and materials, for the one phase of the job. And so I did, and we worked at the pace that I work at. Cause I'm the type of person, like you look at like a larger landscape company or any type of construction company, and they have their schedule. Like you start now, 9:30, you take a 15-minute break, 12 o'clock, you take a half an hour lunch, 2:30, you get another 15-minute break, you work till 5, you go home. I don't do that, right? Like I don't want to stop and sit down for a half an hour. A lot of the time, I don't even like to eat much like of a lunch when I'm working, because you're up and down. Like after I eat lunch, I want to take a nap. I don't want to keep doing what I'm doing, right? So I like to take periodic shorter breaks throughout the day, especially in the middle of July and August when it's steaming hot. I'll crush it for an hour and I'll say, okay, let's take a 5-minute shade break. And we have some water, we talk, we look at the job, we discuss, and then we get back to it. So at the end of this job, the homeowner said, you know, well, it was time and materials, but you guys were taking a lot of breaks and this and that and everything else. And, you know, like I listened to their grievances. And at the end of it, I said, okay. I said, first of all, and what's most important, are you happy with the work? And she said, oh yeah, I'm extremely happy with the work. I'm like, okay, good. That's number one.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, secondly, did we cause any like extra damage, or was there anything that didn't get done that you wanted done? Or was there anything that was damaged because of what we did? She's like, no, everything was good. And so I said, okay. When I first originally gave you the quote to do this, right? How much did I say it was going to be? She said, you said it was going to be about $25,000. And I said, yeah. How much did I charge you? She said, $18,500. So what's the problem? I told you time and materials. We took the amount of time that I take doing this job. Had I have just said 25 grand, I would have got everything done in the same amount of time. Right. But you would have paid more. So I basically gave you a break because of my efficiency. And saved you like over 5 grand.
Yeah.
And you're complaining that I took too many breaks? And there was no problem, and I got paid in full.
Nice. Yeah, I could.
But it was one of those things. I was like, you know, because one of the homeowners was also a business owner, and they're looking out the window. Well, I wouldn't have my employees. Well, I'm not your employees, and your employees aren't doing what I do. You try getting down on your hands and knees doing what I'm doing. You can't do that like 5 hours straight. You need to stop and take a break and stretch your back. It's a lot of manual labor. It's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
So then after that conversation, then she was okay with it.
Yeah. And we got more work out of them as well. So
yeah, nice.
Yeah. They were happy with the work. And that's what I said. Like, that's what I go for. My goal is to make sure that the homeowner gets what they want and that they're happy.
Yeah.
So that when someone's like, who did this? They're like, oh, Biggins Landscaping did it, and they did a great job, and he was a super nice guy, and so on and so forth. And that's where I get the majority of my jobs, is from word of mouth. And then, you know, social media, like you put a post of before and after pictures of a job, and the next day you get 4 or 5 messages. Hey, I want something like that. And
that's amazing.
It just snowballs, right? So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know that at a time landscaping comes up for me, I call you, even when I'm not sure. When I think landscaping, you know, I think you. I got a sneeze coming on. Oh, excuse me.
I'm glad you did that off the mic.
I directed away.
That's good.
Yeah, landscaping, I think you. I sometimes I don't even know your whole list of things you do, but when I hear landscaping, I call you, and that's what I hope anybody locally, if they're seeing this, that they can think the same thing. Because sometimes when I call you, it's not something that you do. Like I can't even remember some of the things. But when it's outside of a house and it involves somebody's property, I'm always like, I call you and I'm like, that you're the first stop for it.
Yeah. I mean, I do almost everything that has to do with the outside of someone's house as far as like the grounds go, right? Like whatever I don't personally do myself or that I'm not an expert at, I have contacts and friends and colleagues who do those things, right? Like fences and decks. I don't really do that. I can do it, but the speed at which it takes me to do it compared to someone who's been doing it for 10 or 15 years, I'd rather get the homeowner the best job in the fastest amount of time. So I'll get them to come in and do it. Plus I have my hands full with a lot of the other stuff as well. Right. So, but I mean, whatever it is, like I have some experience in everything related to it. Like I've done concrete before, but do I do it? No, because I don't have all of the equipment. Like, maybe eventually, like same thing with snowplow. Do I snowplow right now? No. But I have contacts who do, and maybe down the road I will. Do I do lawn maintenance right now? No, I can. Like if someone's like, hey, I'm in a pinch, I need you to cut my lawn. Okay, I can get it done. Yeah. Like I can get anything done. Yeah. Just whether I personally do it myself or have one of my colleagues come in and do it, it gets done. Yeah. So that basically my goal as a landscape company is people call me with some problem. They're like, hey, I have water in my backyard, or hey, my pathway is full of weeds that I have. And all I want to do is have a solution for them. Whether it gets me business or not, I offer them a solution. Yeah. So when they call me, it's never like, no, I don't do that. Sorry. Never. Right. I'm like, I know a guy. I'll send a guy and he can get that done for you. Yeah. Right. I always make sure that I have something to give them so that I helped solve their problem, whether I did it or not.
That's a good answer.
Thanks.
That's why I'm marking it down so I can mark that later. I'm not sure if I'll use that or not, but I like that.
You like that?
Bro, that's because I know that's what it is too. I know that you come up with the solution. Like that's money. Yeah. We were talking about it just before we walked down here, but anybody thinking landscaping now, it's late in the season. Yeah. But if they're thinking things for spring, now is the time to be talking to you if they want to get her done.
Anytime is a good time. So as far as scheduling goes, like you can just imagine, right? Wintertime, everybody kind of hunkers down. No one's thinking about landscaping because no one's really going outside and doing their gardens or anything like that. As soon as the first nice day of the year comes around, as soon as there's just one day where it's like 15, 20 degrees and it's sunny, it just flood of calls. Hey, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And the springtime is just swamped with calls. Right. So this, like, we got February, March is usually still a little wet. April is usually go time. April, May, June, instantly booked. Instantly booked. So anybody who calls me in the spring, you're likely not getting done until summertime. Because unless you're the very first person to call. Right. Right. And a lot of the times, like, you're booking jobs out. Like I will literally by the end of May, I will have my entire season booked. Wow. Right. Now there will be people who call and say, hey, I have this small job. And like, it's, I try to book there's flexibility. I can move things around. Sometimes someone cancels or something comes up and they want to wait or whatever. Right. Yeah. So there's always a little bit of flexibility, but for the most part, you're booked up. And it gets to the point where there are some jobs where you want to get to it before winter, but the weather changes abruptly and it's just, we can't do that now given the weather. I mean, we could, but once again, I do it right or I don't do it at all. Am I going to install interlocking brick in November, December when the polymeric sand won't set? No, I'm not going to do that because then I'm going to have to come back when the weeds all come through because you didn't do it right. Yeah. So sometimes jobs end up just kind of rolling over into the spring. Like when I started this season this year, I had 6 jobs already lined up to go by the end of the last year that were just carried over that couldn't get to in time. Yeah. Which, does happen. But so, yeah, I mean, anytime. Like you can go and quote jobs all year round, right? It's nonstop. So, yeah, I mean, if someone's looking at getting something done, because everybody wants everything done in the spring, early summer, so they can enjoy it all summer. Right. Right. So it's always good to kind of get ahead of it, especially if, this is what I always get is people are like, we want to have a party in June. Can you have this done by then? It's like, you're calling me like, at the beginning of June, like you want to have a party in 3 weeks and you want me to do your entire backyard. Like I'm booked.
I got prior obligations.
Yeah. So like if you have things like
somebody's planning on having a graduation party in June, now is the time to be talking to
Now is the time to book it. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. No doubt. Yeah. No doubt. Yeah. That's I can imagine what that would be like in spring, how people just start blowing you up.
Yeah, it gets crazy.
Hectic at the beginning.
Yeah, it does. It's just it's just triage though. You just deal with it, right? Like there's like jobs that you can do immediately, and there's jobs that you have to kind of wait a little while to do. There's jobs that have to be done in the summer or when it's bone dry. Like, you know, the conditions are different for every property as well, right?
Yeah.
That's like the best is people will say, hey, if I send you a picture, can you give me a quote? I can't do that. Like I don't care. If someone wants something done, I will go to their property, assess the situation in person. I will never give somebody a quote over the phone or buy a picture.
Right.
Just like you wouldn't buy a house by looking at pictures. You have to go and see it because you don't know what you're running into. Can I get a machine in there? Do I have access to the backyard? Is it all forest on one side? Is there a neighbor? Or like you don't know what the situation is by a picture. Someone shows me a picture of a puddle and says, "Can you fix this?" I got to come look at it.
I get the same thing when people call me and they say, "How much is my house worth?" And they think you just do it.
Yeah.
I live at 123 Main Street.
Yeah.
I got 3 bedrooms and a bathroom, and my neighbor sucks, but don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
And my driveway's paved.
Yeah.
How much is it worth? And same thing. Got to get in there. Got to look at it. Got to see what's going on.
Well, at the same time too, my thought process is like, okay, this person who I don't know just messaged me, sent me a picture and said, "Hey, can you do this?" So I'm going to give them a price. And if they don't like the price, they don't know me. They're just going to be like, "Yeah, that's too much." So the first opportunity I have, I'm going to say, "Listen, I'm going to have to come and meet with you and see the job."
Yeah.
Now I get to meet them in person and shake their hand and look at them in the eye. And then we can kind of feel each other out.
Totally.
Right. And that's how you build the trust. That's how I get the jobs, is that I physically go to every single person's house and talk to them and explain to them, this is what I can do. This is why. This is what it's going to cost. And if that works for you, call me back.
So when somebody wants to call you, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, my phone number generally is the main way. I have people message me on Facebook Messenger. I have an email, but usually it's either phone call or Messenger. I mean, I have a Biggins Landscaping Facebook page that gets quite a bit. To be honest, like probably the second year that I did this, I would say, and the third year, probably 60% of my business and contacts came through Facebook.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. It was definitely over 50%.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what's your number? You want to say if anybody, if they just Google.
Yeah. Just go to Biggins Landscaping.
And it's all on there.
Yeah. On Facebook, and it's all there. And then you can see some pictures too.
I like it.
Yeah.
How did you learn all this landscaping stuff?
Oh, so you want to get into the history of landscaping?
Well, bro, you are like good at what I shouldn't say good, great at what you do. Like
you do anything for like 25 plus years and you're going to get good at it, bro.
Yeah, because I've been to, I don't know, tens of thousands of houses. I see all kinds of different yards. I see all kinds of people handling their own yards, people getting work done. Some is good, some is shit. And like all the work I've seen you do is always great.
Well, thank you.
And you just say you've been doing this 25 years. You wouldn't just become good at this when you opened the business. I don't know what I want to talk about more first. The history, I'll let you pick. There's 2 things for sure I want to talk about. Okay. How you got good at it and what it was like starting a business. I don't know which one you want. Okay.
Well, we can, you know what? I think history first. Okay. And then what it was like starting a business, because one kind of leads into the other.
I like it.
Right? So I would say, first of all, I give a lot of the credit of me getting into the landscape industry in the first place to my dad, because he loved gardening. He was always out doing stuff in the garden and having me help him do stuff in the garden. You know, his gardens growing up, like at his house, were insane. There's ponds, waterfalls. He even had like a bathtub in the front with like a running shower with fish in it, and like rock gardens, cactus gardens, like just a whole different variety of different types of gardens, right?
Yeah,
And so, I mean, that kind of like inspired me to like, he did it all himself. He didn't hire a landscaper to do it. He did it all himself.
How did he have a running thing in the front yard?
What, the tub?
The tub, yeah.
There's a pump in it. It just recycles the water. Everybody, that's funny because a lot of people are like, how come it doesn't overflow? Well, it's not the tub in your house. It's like a pond. How come a pond doesn't overflow? It's just circulating the water around.
There's a pump in there. Sweet.
Yeah. So that kind of started me into the landscaping thing. And then, so like when I was in like, so all growing up, I was helping in the garden and helping my dad build ponds. And, someone would be like, Bill, I like your pond. I want a pond at my house. And me and my dad would go and build them a pond. Right. So we do stuff like that.
Gotcha.
And then when it got into like, high school and I had to get a summer job and start saving up for university or whatever, I didn't know what I was going to do in high school. Mm-hmm. One of the few options I had was to work at a golf course. And I mean, I already played golf, so I'm like, yeah, I like working outside, so on and so forth. So I started working at Rio Vista Golf Course in, in Fort Erie.
Mm-hmm. Is that still there?
No, they closed it down now.
Where was that? Because I don't even recognize
it was
that name.
Down on Crooks Street.
Where's that?
Like downtown Jarvis Street area. Like
over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, old Fort Erie.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I started working there, and that entails cutting grass and, doing the bunkers and all the golf course maintenance stuff. Right. So I learned a lot about lawn care, obviously working at a golf course, all the, pesticide and all that kind of stuff. And, just proper, what better lawn maintenance is there than a golf course? Right.
Yeah,
it is
no
the
doubt.
high end of lawn maintenance. Right. So I worked there for, I don't know, until I went to university, basically. And then thanks to Lakeshore Catholic High School championship football Gators.
Let's go. Gators.
Let's go.
Once a Gator, always a Gator.
Yeah. So when we won the championship, Guelph approached me and Gilmore to go to their school. Mm-hmm. And they said, we want you to come play football for us. And given your grades, which in grade 12 probably weren't,
they weren't great.
They weren't the best. I mean,
we weren't great at school.
We weren't book smart.
So
we were other smart.
I have to quickly interrupt.
Sure.
Guelph came to you. Your marks weren't good. They didn't come to me. My marks weren't good, and I wasn't good enough in football.
You weren't big enough for a center. That's all.
Well, I was pretty big back then, but maybe not tall enough.
I don't know.
Anyway, so marks weren't great.
Well, I mean, they weren't like 95s. Like my marks were like
94 is fine.
Mid 70s to mid 80s, right?
Oh, that's not bad.
It wasn't horrible, but they're like, given your marks, these are the options you have to take. And one of them was landscape horticulture. So I'm like, I'm already working at the golf course. I know landscaping. I'll do that because it's something I felt comfortable. I don't know in high school what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I just did that because I said, at the very worst, I will learn about plants and there's never going to not be plants. You know what I mean?
Always.
So I was like, why not? So I went to Guelph for 2 years and got my diploma in landscape horticulture. And then...
Do you still know all the trees?
I know quite a few.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like anything. If you don't do it all the time, like you start forgetting them.
That's always fun. We used to do that. We'd be driving and I'd be like, what tree is that? And I don't know if you
That's
ever
an Acer Saccharinum.
And I'd be like, sure.
Yeah. The Latin names for all
I'd
the
be
trees.
impressed by it. Like, is he telling me the truth? Or not?
Yeah. No, I was.
Yeah.
If I didn't know, I would tell you or I would find out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after university, I knew a lot more about landscaping and just the science of it and everything. And I wanted to continue working at the golf course, but it wasn't a lot of money. And at that time, I was literally, I think, making $7.50 an hour working on the golf course.
Wow. Back in the good old days.
Yeah, back in the good old days.
Minimum wage, basically.
That was minimum wage was like $7.25.
Right.
I was making like $7.50.
Right.
And so I remember like after I got my diploma and I got my pesticide license, I asked, Rio Vista if I could have a raise, and they were like, no. And I'm like, really? Like the beer cart girl makes $7.25 an hour plus tips.
Right.
And I'm like,
breaking your back.
Yeah, like all the weed. Like I have to weed whack the entire golf course.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like just everything. And I mean, is long story is that golf course, but regardless,
yeah,
I left that golf course. I went to Port Colborne Country Club for a year. They started me off at $10.50 an hour, so it was already moving ahead.
Nice.
Which was good. And then after a while, because of baseball, I was playing with my buddy George Bergman at the time, and he had.
Oh, he played ball.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he played for the Cannons for a few years back in the day.
What position?
Oh, first base probably.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I like it.
and so
I'm a big Cannons fan. Go Cannons.
Go Cannons.
And I cheer for the Welland team. I don't even know what they are though. The Marauders.
The what are they? Pioneers now? They're
Pioneers.
The Chiefs. Yeah.
Pioneers Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my other team.
Yeah. Go.
Who's a better
go
baseball
Welland.
player, you or Kevin Murphy?
Kevin would say I am.
Who would you say is?
I would say I am. Sorry, Kev.
I really like watching you guys play baseball.
I'm getting old now, though, so
It is getting harder to play sports, eh?
yeah. It's just you get hurt. I hurt my pinky finger this year, and it still hurts from baseball, and I haven't played in a couple.
I know.
months
I hurt my foot playing soccer, and it still hurts.
It just everything takes longer.
I know. We're not in high school anymore.
No. Anyway, so I
Bergman.
Is that
how you say his last name?
Bergman.
Bergman. Okay, sorry.
Bergman.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the time, he had a company called the Grass Groomers, and they did residential lawn maintenance and commercial lawn maintenance. So I left the golf course and started working with him, figuring that, we could do lawn maintenance and maybe roll in some landscaping, like some of the stuff that I knew how to do as well. And so we did that for a while. And, it kind of got to the point where we were both kind of tired of doing it. He went his way and I went my way, and I ended up leaving there and went to a company in St. Catharines called SB Haulage, and they did commercial, like massive commercial property maintenance, like the Walmarts and the Canadian Tires and the plazas and the everything, the snow plowing. So I did that for a couple of years, but it was a good experience, but I don't want to do that. I didn't want to do that forever.
How come?
Just because the one thing that I don't like about lawn maintenance and property maintenance is you're at the same place every week doing the same job. There's very little variety, and you're just doing the same thing all the time. And not too many people are like, you did a great job cutting my lawn.
Right.
They're usually like, you ran over my sprinkler, or you did. It's always, there's more complaints that come with lawn maintenance and property maintenance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I tended to not really. I just got tired of doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
So I left.
You're too creative for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I left there and had an option to either go to work for Stevensville Garden Gallery or plantation, irrigation, and landscaping. And after meeting Terry Tykalis and Bill Spear, I went with Bill because I liked him better than Terry, and he brought me over to Plantation where I met Mark Hillmeyer. And I worked with them for 7 years, and that's where I kind of started doing like the landscape installation stuff. Like I could do gardens and edging and planting. That's easy. Mulching. I could do all of that already. But I didn't have yet any experience in doing like interlock brick or rock walls or like operating heavy equipment, right? I could operate lawnmowers and large lawnmowers and tractors, right? But I never ran a skid steer or an excavator or anything like that. So I worked with that company for about 7 years or so, and became the foreman of the landscape construction crew after so many years, and got really good at doing all the interlocking brick and everything. And then it also got to a point where, I was just it was time to move on. So I went to Crown Landscaping for 2 years, and that's where I learned how to build all the shoreline rock walls and like the big ones. So now I'm using like bigger equipment, right? Like large scale excavators, large scale loaders and stuff like that.
You know how to operate all that stuff, eh?
Yeah.
Is there a license for that?
No.
There's no license for...
No.
Interesting.
You don't have to have a license to operate equipment. You can go and get like training and tickets and stuff. Like if you're going to get a union job, then you might have to have an operator's ticket. I don't know the whole deal. I've never had a union job, but depending on where you work, you might need some credentials to get into the union to do it. But I mean, I can go to Core Rentals and rent any piece of equipment that they own.
Me too.
And yeah, you can too.
Interesting. No, I'd have no idea how to use it.
Yeah. You can say, I want the largest excavator you have, and it'll show up on your property, and they'll just, here's the keys. Have fun.
Don't break it.
Break it.
Yeah.
Try.
Yeah. I've always wanted to try a little bit. It is like a backhoe. Is that an excavator? What's a backhoe?
A backhoe is generally like with the loader bucket on the front and then the digger on the back. That's a backhoe.
Gotcha. Always wanted to try like messing around with one of those big shovel things.
That's an excavator. The one that spins around.
Yeah.
Those are much better than backhoes, in my opinion.
Yeah. I've always wanted to try that a little bit. One time at Ben Berg's on a little mini one, I was kind of messing around a little bit.
Yeah.
But I've always thought it'd be fun to like dig a hole and see how that goes.
They're fun, especially when you get good at it. They're fun.
I bet, because it's like a video game without the TV kind of.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You can do so much with an excavator. Like it's amazing.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So rock walls. So I got into rock walls for a couple years, which was fun.
What was the name of that company again?
Crown Landscaping.
They still around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still around. I believe, Dave's still doing stuff, and his son Justin, I think, kind of took the reins there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was one of those things. I did that for a couple of years and got tired of doing that because you're doing the same thing every day.
Right.
So then I decided that I wanted to move on from there, and I got a job at L. Walter and Sons Excavating, which is not a landscaping company. They're kind of like a bulk earth moving company. So they have a lot of extremely heavy equipment, and they do a lot of work in all of the quarries in the Niagara region.
Mm-hmm.
So like we would like strip all the soil off the top of the rock before they drilled and blasted the rock in the quarries, and we would move the soil and push it around with bulldozers and make berms, and we would break oversized rock and like just quarry operations basically, right? So when I worked there for 5 years, and it was great. And I learned how to operate a bulldozer. Got to use like the biggest, largest excavators probably in the Niagara region.
Really?
Yeah, they're massive. So that was good. And then is another one of those things where after 5 years of doing that, I was kind of like, that was the furthest away from actual landscaping that I got in a job. And, you know, I kind of missed landscaping.
Right.
Like there wasn't as much reward, just bulk earth moving that the type of reward you get from landscaping. So I decided that I had an opportunity to, George Bergman started up his landscaping business again and got more into the landscaping end of things rather than just the lawn maintenance. So, you know, he was asking for me to come and help him out. And I had the opportunity to start my own business. I had a couple jobs lined up, and I was like, yeah, let's just do it.
So that was the last job before you went to do that?
Yeah, that was my last job.
Yeah, see, like this one, I like this part too, because, you know, I've been Right Choice 4 years, but Realtor 10 years. I always like business stuff, and I love when I was really, I guess, supportive, encouraging. I wanted you to see you go on your own, because I'm glad to see it's going well so far.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
You want to hear actually a really funny short story about the transition into my business?
Yeah.
So when I was working for Walters, there was time when I would get sent on a job for like 2 months or 3 months or 6 months, right? So, and Steve, great guy, great boss. So when I decided I wanted to do this, I asked him to have a chat, and we went to Tim Hortons and sat down, and, you know, I told him that I have an opportunity and I really want to take this opportunity, and I gave him 6 weeks notice, right?
Wow.
Like normally 2 weeks, but I know how that company works, and it's like, hey, we need you to go here. And it's like, I want to give you as much notice as possible, because I know sometimes I'm doing a job for 3 months in Guelph or something. Right. So I think he appreciated that, and he fully supported my move and everything. So 5 weeks goes by, and it's a week away from starting my landscaping company. And I had my first job lined up, and then COVID hit. And everyone's like, you can't drive, you can't start any new projects, you can't go out of your house. And I was like, oh my God, like I literally just quit my job.
And that's how you started. I forgot that part of the story. It started
right at the beginning of the pandemic, right at the beginning of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what'd you do?
I waited. I asked, because when it first happened, right? Like you remember when it first happened, like no one was driving. Like it was the first time, like no one was on the road. Like nobody knew what to do. They didn't know how bad this was going to be. It was kind of like the whole, nobody knows what's going on. So everyone kind of hunkered down. So I talked to Steve and I was like, do you think I can stay on for like another week until I see what the heck's going on with this? Cause like, you're not supposed to start any new projects or whatever.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, no problem, is whatever you need. So I stuck around for another week. And then after kind of we, got grips of what was kind of going on, the first job I had was in Wainfleet, digging a big ass pond for Joanne. So
I like it.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful. Kehoe and Ken.
Kehoe and Ken.
Give him a little plug because that's a great spot.
Oh, it's awesome. You got married there?
I did. Did you go to Gilmore's?
No, I didn't.
Me neither.
No.
He did it there. Yeah.
Yeah. I know a lot of people who did.
Yeah.
It's
the best venue in Wainfleet.
Yeah, because they got a
up
sweet
there
pond.
For Niagara. Sweet pond, sweet barn.
Yeah.
Sweet property, sweet people.
Yeah.
Anybody.
Yeah, Joanne's awesome.
Katie too.
Yeah, Katie.
Yeah.
Chad.
The whole family.
Yeah. They're all good.
I'm trying to get her on to do one too. She just bad now. She's baby mama. So get her on whenever.
Yeah.
They just finished up wedding season.
Yeah. So she wanted to get her pond done before wedding season. So I said, you know what, the heck with it. I'm in Wainfleet. I'm in a machine by myself. How much like social distance can you get then sitting in a blocks in machine by yourself distancing. In Wainfleet? So I just bit the bullet and did it. And I mean, cause that was like a month long job to begin with. Like it was a big pond. It was doing all this other stuff as well. So that's what I started. And I mean, I think like the first year of starting the landscaping business was a little rough because, people weren't sure what they could do. Like, can I start this project with the whole uncertainty with COVID thing? Like it was a little slow. So the first winter was pretty slow. And then once everything kind of started normalizing again and people were, getting back to, the benefit, right? The benefit on the backside of having the very first slow year is that after that happened, everyone's like, you know what, if something like this happens again and I have to stay home, I want my home to be nice. So everyone started investing in their house and their property. Yeah. So the landscaping projects just took off after that. So after the second year was a lot busier, and every year since it's just gotten better and better as I get my name out there and do more work and have more to show people. So
starting a business,
quite a journey.
I just want to talk about that part a little bit too, because like there's a lot of people out there thinking of starting a business. They have side hustles, whatever. Like, because you were a little bit hesitant. It's a big step.
Yeah. Well, I would say the main reason I was hesitant is due to the fact that you can't do a lot of landscaping in the winter. So that was my biggest concern is what am I going to do in the winter? If I was in Florida and I could landscape year round, I probably wouldn't have been as hesitant. Yeah. Right. Because I know that I can do the work and that I can make money doing the work. That wasn't the problem. My biggest problem was what do I do in the winter? Yeah. So
people thinking about starting a business, what are some tips you give to some people thinking about starting?
Well,
so that was a thing for you was winter.
Yeah.
And then you overcame that. How did you overcome it?
Well, I overcame it through a couple ways. One, coming to Right Choice and learning how to do some renovation stuff. Because, if I can't landscape in the winter, I have to do something. So that actually kind of pushed me to look towards what other skills can I learn and improve on that I can do in the winter, right? So like, framing and drywall and stuff like that. I can work inside somebody's house and do that in the winter. And just because it's Biggins landscaping doesn't mean I have to limit myself to only doing landscaping. If someone's like, hey, do you wash windows? Sure, I'll wash your windows if it's worth it. Sure, absolutely. Yeah. Whatever you need done, right? Can you change the batteries in my, no problem. Whatever you need. Yeah. Right. If I got the time and space to do it, I'll do it, renovations, whatever. So that was one thing that kind of, started doing that. And then George Bergman also, he does snow plowing in the winter, snow removal, and he's got a lot on his plate as far as the snow plowing end of thing goes. So there's times when he needs a hand operating some equipment and pushing some snow around. So I'll help him with that too. But I mean, you're only snow plowing when it snows. So it's not reliable. Even if I did snow plow in my business, it doesn't snow all the time. It's not like you're cutting the grass every week.
The only way that part works is when you get contracts, right? Because if you're only getting paid when it snows, That is so shoddy. Even though if we have any Americans still hanging on to the podcast here, it doesn't snow every day in Canada. Not where we are.
No, it's not the Arctic.
Yeah.
We're in the Florida of Canada down here.
No doubt.
Yeah. No, but yeah, that's the best way to go about it is to get a contract where you basically guarantee this many plows from a place. So if we're going to plow your property, then you pay up front for 10 plows. And if you get plowed 10 times, then we're even. If you get plowed less, I'm still getting paid for 10 plows. And if we have to plow more, then you just add on. Right. So you either, you can't lose. You can't lose plowing.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's costly to plow. The insurance for plowing is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think when the first or second year I started my business during the whole COVID thing, I remember George saying that his plowing insurance went up 75%.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
That's
and a lot of people stopped plowing because the insurance was so high.
That's because there's so many guys out there plowing, just hitting shit, eh?
Hitting stuff. There's slip fall concerns. If you plow Walmart and someone slips and sues Walmart and then they sue you, you got to be able to manage that and deal with that. And there was probably a lot of stuff like that happening, and insurance companies were just we got to jack it up.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, so it's tough.
So still even back, somebody's thinking of opening a business. What do you tell people when they're thinking of opening a business?
Well,
because I get it from people all the time, more so with real estate, but businesses too, just like we talked. And I encourage everybody to try and figure out how to do it, because I think it's great when you work for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
It is, for sure. And
it's so for me, it's starting a business when it comes to landscaping, it's just something that I already knew how to do, right? I'm not trying to come up with a new idea.
So tip number one, if you're going to open a business,
open a
business that you know.
Do what you're good at.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to open up a mechanic shop, right? That's not me.
That's just sometimes I have people saying, I want to become a realtor. I'm like, awesome. You got any experience with sales? No. Okay, now. So,
yeah. But you do have to start somewhere.
For sure, you got to start somewhere.
You have to start somewhere. But I would definitely say write down a list of your attributes. What am I good at? Am I good at sales? Am I good at talking to people? Am I good at building stuff? Am I good at working with my hands? What am I good at doing? Right? What do I like to do? Because it's the other thing too. You got to do something you enjoy doing. You have to be, if you're going to start a business, you're now devoting your entire life to making that work. And whether that's successful determines how well you do. So you have to be passionate about whatever it is you're doing, and you have to want to excel at it. Right. So that's another piece of advice. You gotta have the passion to want to do it, because it's a lot of work.
So I like your first one. Figure out what you're good at.
Yeah.
Have some passion for it. I think another good step here between us trying to give anybody advice is now look, is there a market for what you're good at?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you're great at, I don't even know, something that there's no demand for.
Yeah. If you're great at building potato people.
Yeah.
And there's no market for potato people, then you probably shouldn't open a potato people business.
Yeah, exactly. You're the best VHS rewinder on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, yeah.
Yeah. So, determine what you're good at. And then another thing that you did that was good is if you can line yourself up some work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. I mean, I'm lining up jobs, but if you're producing and selling a product, you have to, maybe pre-sales or whatever you can come up with as far as stuff like that goes.
Yeah.
And then I would say the next best thing is to start a business is just networking, meet people, talk to other people who do stuff similar to you, talk to other people who started businesses, right? When I first wanted to start my business, I came to talk to you. Dude, you started your business. How did you do it? I go to talk to George. How do you do your business? How do you run your books? What do I have to do for taxes? How do I get employees? How do I pay them? These are all questions you have to figure out.
Totally.
Right?
Totally. I think
what program do I use to invoice somebody? Right? And how do I keep track of all that?
Business is definitely relationships.
100%.
Every business is relationships.
Yeah.
That's like our currency. That's like, you have a good relationship, that'll pay the bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know for everybody, like there's always a little bit of risk when you want to go out and start your own business.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say the one thing that gave me the confidence to go out and start my own business was, do I have a backup plan? Like if I do this, which I want to do, you know, and worst case scenario, it doesn't work out. What do I do then? Like if I invest everything I have into this and it doesn't work out, what do I do then? Do I have a backup plan?
Mm-hmm.
So I had a backup plan.
What was your backup plan?
Well, because of the way that I left Walters and gave my boss 6 weeks notice and had a nice meeting with him about why I wanted to start this and that I was passionate about doing landscaping and I kind of missed it.
Mm-hmm.
He said, if anything happens and it doesn't work out, give me a call. I'll put you back to work.
Yeah.
So I could, if it didn't work out, I could go right back to my old job if I had to.
Yeah.
I could also go work for my buddy George or whoever else.
Yeah.
Right. So I had a couple different backup plans.
I think that's key. You know what helps having that backup plan? Because I think you're absolutely right. If you're going to go, you have to have a plan if it's not going to work, because there's a chance it's not going to work.
Yeah.
You know how you have a backup plan? Be good at what you do, because you're good at what you do, but being a business owner is a different set of skills. Like, how many things have you learned? Like you just talked about, like handling the books and employees and all that stuff.
Lots.
And like, that goes, that's great to say that, because that's when you see people moving up the ladder of different things too. It's just like with me, I was a good salesman, good realtor, right?
Yeah, it's
so
fine.
I opened
you
my
can
own.
say that.
Yeah, I opened my own company, but it didn't mean I was good at running a real estate company.
Yeah.
And like when I started, I think I did good. I think I'm better now, 4 years later. But it just because I was really good at selling houses and making people as much money as possible and getting them good deals and all these things, didn't mean like I've learned. I'm learning how to train people on how to do that. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean.
That's the thing. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean you're good at training other people or managing other people to do it.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Some people like some people are just really good at doing something, and then they hire somebody and they can't do it as good as them. Mm-hmm. And they're just frustrated that how come you can't do it? Like, I just look at this is how you do it. It's like, well, dude, you've been doing it for 20 years. Like, you got to have a little bit of patience and you have to understand the learning curve it takes to bring someone in. Like, so being able to like mentor and teach and manage people and figure out where you need people and how to utilize people's potential to their advantage, right? Is a huge thing that it doesn't come naturally to everybody. Like that, being a people person is a huge part of, business.
So now, if anybody was listening to this and they were in landscaping or whatever, where do you see there's some opportunities for people, things maybe that you don't do in landscaping, but you're like, if I could clone myself, or if somebody was into this? Because like in my business, I see all kinds of opportunities if I had other Joe.
There's
clones.
No shortage of work when it comes to landscaping.
No shortage.
No.
That's good.
No,
that's good.
There's plenty of work out there.
Yeah.
It just comes with being good at what you do and making a name for yourself. Find a couple of trusted, good customers, homeowners that you can keep on a regular basis, and then just build out from there.
Right.
Yeah.
One thing that you do a little bit of that I think it's a good thing. I think like you said, how you get good business from word of mouth and referrals.
Yeah.
One thing I bust your balls about is social media.
Social media.
Yeah. And
That's
you said
huge.
you got a good portion of it. And I know, I completely get how it is juggling all that, but I still want to play on it for people and even for you, that if you're looking to go out on your own, if working on that aspect, because like you said, you've had times where that was 50-60% of your business.
Yeah.
So like somebody looking to get into it, and like I'll spit in some stuff with that. Like if you're going to start a business, open a Facebook business page, an Instagram account, a YouTube channel, a TikTok, a LinkedIn, I don't know, X or Twitter. I've never gotten traction, but you might as well open it.
Yeah.
make the accounts all the same name. So like, hopefully you do. But then like you can start putting some content on there, and like I know how I do it and all that stuff, but everybody can work on it from there.
Yeah, you're at the top of the level for doing social media, content creation, everything else. Like people should aspire to be as good and as effective and consistent as you are at social media. I go in waves.
Yeah, totally.
I'll put out a bunch of content and then I'll just slow down, right? Like it's just one of those things with me.
When we were on the phone and I forget what we were doing. I was going through and liking your stuff just to share the love. You had some older videos and I didn't watch them because we were on the phone. Yeah. But I seen you had some good like tip videos and stuff.
Yeah. So, well, when I first started my business, it had a lot to do with your influence as well, right? Mm-hmm. Because the first winter I'm doing work down here. Mm-hmm. You and I were putting out content together for the renovation stuff, which inspired me to put out content of my own for my business, because I'm just starting my business. And for the last 5 to 7 years, I wasn't doing landscaping. So people stopped calling me when they had landscaping questions or whatever. People knew I was a landscaper, but I'm too busy when I'm working full time, I can't do landscaping. Mm-hmm. So to get my name back out there, after doing the content with you, I started just putting out as much content as I could through my own Facebook page. And I would just do like a 5-minute video and explain the difference between seed, hydroseed, and sod, and why one's better than the other. And then like literally the next day I would get 4 or 5 messages saying, hey, you do grading? Yeah, I do grading. And then I would get a couple jobs off of that. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I just started going around, and whenever I saw a landscaping related issue that bothered me, like, look, the people didn't like, loosen up the ties on the tree, and it's like choking it and killing it now. Like, so like I would explain like how to do it, and just little things like that. And then just like the one thing for social media, the way I approached it was that I didn't want to just be like, here's Biggins Landscaping doing all of this. It was like, it's me, right? Mm-hmm. I just did my own thing. Like, hi, I'm Frank, and this is what I saw, right? Like people know who I am already. Like, sure. I'll have the Biggins Landscaping there, but it was just like me being me and showing, like, I mean, even like just you got into the food reviews. I did a couple of those just for fun. I know, especially during COVID when like it was all take in and eat out and whatever, right? I
love it.
I was like, I'm going to try a sub from Archie's or whatever, right?
What kind did you get? Do you remember? I'm hungry right now. I want an Archie's sub right now.
A steak sub maybe.
Have you been there lately?
No, not lately.
I haven't been in so long. I'm hungry right now.
Archie's is good. Sub. That's good. It's so good right now. My mouth's watering. Yeah.
Hilarious.
But yeah. Social media. I will not deny the effectiveness of social media because I've seen firsthand that it works. And then it was one of those things like at first I wasn't booked full time. Mm-hmm. So I had the time to make the videos and do all the stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
When I started getting really busy, right, and my schedule was full, it's like, do I really want to put out a video and have 6 more people call me? It's like, I mean, my thing for me is that I wanted to do this wisely. I didn't want to grow too big too fast. I don't want to be a company with 20 employees trying to manage all that, because now I'm no longer landscaping, I'm managing. Yeah. And I'd like to actually physically do the landscaping. Yeah. So I want to have a nice tight crew of people and just do good work. Right. And then eventually, hopefully pass the torch on to somebody who is going to be able to replace me.
Starting a business is a hard, big step, but scaling a business is way harder.
Yeah. But I still am a rookie as far as the scaling end of things goes. And
yeah. And absolutely. Like that, I like how you're not in beast mode to try and grow it quick. And there's some people that can do that and can make a bunch of money, but some people lose a bunch of money.
I've seen companies grow and fall apart, and I've seen companies get too big, and it's
it's definitely a systematic thing that you have to be.
Well, in order to grow, especially in landscaping, because that's what I know, in order to grow it effectively, you have to have the right people in the right place 100%.
Yeah,
like you have to, if you're going to start a lawn maintenance division, you can't just hire two guys that barely know how to cut grass and give them, $100,000 worth of truck trailer equipment and everything and say, okay, here's your lick, go cut grass. Like we
talked about that before.
Yeah, because after 2 weeks, the one guy who trims is going to quit, and then you're going to have somebody else come in, and then it's tough. You got to have somebody who knows what they're doing, who is passionate like you and wants to run that division.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, you're just cycling through people, and if both those guys don't show up, you're out cutting grass now. Right. And I don't want to cut grass. I want to do nice, pretty stuff.
Yeah. We'll change.
So you switch it up.
Just a little switch.
All right. I'm game.
We've talked about landscaping for an hour-ish.
That was fun.
I want you to forget that we're even recording.
We're recording?
No, I forgot to record. I hate when I do that.
Sucks.
I've done that at least twice.
Sucks.
I'm sure you're observant. You've seen a couple times when I check to make sure things are recording.
Yeah, you're still a rookie.
Yeah, rookie. You've worked with Right Choice. You've worked with me.
Yeah.
Me. Well, you've had exposure to myself, Kev, and Ronnie too.
Yep.
Is it good experiences, bad? Where for room improvement? This is what I mean. If there's anything, the good, bad, and ugly, because you've been behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Are you squirming in your seat? Are you scared to tell me that I did something bad?
No, I'm
just tell me.
Just trying to think of like.
It's been a little bit
how it all went. Like, so when I bought my house in Port Colborne, you didn't have Right Choice yet.
No, I was still Century 21.
You were still Century 21.
Yeah.
So you were my real estate agent personally.
Yeah.
And that was a great experience.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Are you lying just because we're recording?
No.
I want you to be honest at this part. Even if you're going to say something bad, I want to hear this stuff.
No,
I think this will be good for anybody.
And I'll explain to you why. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, so I knew you were in real estate. Okay. And, Shannon and I were thinking about getting a house, and, she wants to get things done. She wants to get things moving. So she contacted another real estate agent, and she said, I want to go look at these two houses. I'm like, why did you contact her? I would have called Joe. She's like, well, I already called this guy, so can we just go look at these two houses? Because I feel bad if we don't.
I didn't even know this part of the story, right? Or if I did, I forgot.
Okay. Yeah. So she set up a couple houses to go look at with this guy. I can't even remember his name, and wouldn't want to mention it anyway. Yeah. Relevant. So the thing I didn't like about him is I had no idea who he was. Okay. So the trust had to be built. And it just so seemed that every single house I went in was the perfect house for us as far as he was concerned. He's like, oh, this is a perfect house for you. It's got this, and just telling me all the things it had, but never really addressing like any of the problems with it, or if there was any problems at all. Cause I didn't know that much about houses and what's good and what's not or whatever, but it was just like, it just seemed like he was just trying to sell me every single house.
What a shocker. The realtor is just.
And the funny thing is that one of the houses that we went to, was one that I used to do some lawn maintenance for. And it's not too far from my dad's house. And I know this property, and it is a low property on the corner lot, and it is always flooded. And we went there early spring, and the ground was flooded. And I said to him, like, I don't really like the fact that like the yard's flooded. And he's like, oh, it's just, he goes, it's not like that all the time. And I'm like, you just lied to me, because I know that it's like that all the time. He tried to make up an excuse of why it was like that. Oh, they just did some of this. And I'm like, you know what? I can't trust this guy and he's just trying to sell me a house. He just wants to sell a house. He doesn't know who I am. He doesn't know what we're looking for. So I told Shannon, I said, listen, I don't like this guy. I'm calling Joe.
I don't even remember that part. I like that you got some exposure though.
Oh yeah. No, I did. And I remember calling you, and, I was like, listen, I want to get a house. And you're like, okay, what are you looking for? And I told you. And I remember you're like, you gave me the thing. You're like, here's a bunch of houses, tell me what you like. And I remember like, I looked at it for like a day or two, and then I called you back, and I'm like, okay, listen, I want to set up a date with you. I have 13 houses that I want to go look at. And you're like, okay, well, which one do you want to look at this day? I'm like, all of them. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, it's unheard of. I'm like, no, dude, we're going to blitz every single one of these houses and I'm going to find one because we want to
buy a house at the end.
And we're going to buy a house at the end.
Yeah, because when people buy a house, I always encourage people, when we go out, let's look at 2 to 5 houses.
Yeah.
Because unlike you, there's a whole bunch of people that sometimes want to go look at one house.
Yeah.
They're like, I've seen this house, let's go look at it.
Yeah.
I'm like, awesome, let's go look at it. But let's also look at something else.
Yeah.
Or a couple.
Yeah.
So that we can compare.
Yeah.
And then sometimes people like you want to see a whole shitload of houses. And I'm like, okay.
You're like, we can't do this. And I was like, we're doing it.
I know.
We're doing it.
Because in my experience, anytime you go over 5 houses, people start forgetting. Because at the end of the day, it's like, they're like, I really like that one bungalow with the pink bathroom. And I was like, the pink bathroom was in the 2-story house. And you're like, oh yeah. And they just get confused. And I was trying, and you're like,
I don't work like that.
No, you're like,
I know there was a couple when we walked in and I was like, nope, let's go.
Yeah, we powered.
I was like, nope, not this one. Is there a garage? Nope, nope, not happening. Right? So I think there was at least 5 that we like blasted through without even any concern. I was like, no, it's not happening.
And from a realtor planning point, that much too is like a booking nightmare because like you have to book all your showings in advance.
What'd you do? Did you go into low power mode?
Oh yeah. I unplugged it. That's okay.
Uh-oh. Nobody can hear you. You're away from the mic.
We'll get that back.
Yeah. You broke it.
It'll come back. It's a planning nightmare.
Yeah, I realize now after like getting some more real estate experience, like how crappy that was to do to you.
Well, it was crappy, but not crappy because you made it work. Because you told me we're going to power through this, so we did power through it. Because you're like, I'll know quickly. So I think we did well with the scheduling because I literally think I booked them like 10 minutes apart or whatever. Because even the ones that you liked, like we moved efficiently through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we definitely did. But so this is the difference. Yeah. There was a couple like, because I want to kind of tie this back into the story I had with the first real estate agent.
Yeah.
That there would be times when you and I would go into a house, right? And I would see something like the furnace or whatever. And I'd look at you and you'd just be like, no, you don't want this one.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I liked is that you were honest with me. You're like, listen, dude, I really want to sell you a house, but I don't think you want to buy this house because it's got like, look at this, got some issues here. Like you would bring up the issues that the house had to me. Like, it's a nice house, but looking at this and this and this, you might end up having to put a few grand into it in the next little while. Like you gave me the facts. You gave me the facts, and then you said, this is the pros and the cons. Mm-hmm. And then you were just honest with me. You weren't just trying to sell me a house. You were also looking out for me.
Yeah.
But that's also because we're buddies too, right?
Not just, but yes.
But that's a huge part of it, right? The difference is that I already had some trust in you, knowing you from having that background. Yeah. But you're the type of person who is very trustable. Like you are a man of your word. You are honest. You are very fair, and your opinion is valuable.
Yeah,
right. And it's just that's the thing. You're like, this is the facts.
It's a tough thing for me, and not that I don't do it, but it's a tough thing for me to be able to convince people that don't know me that you can trust me. And not that I can't do it, and not that it doesn't happen, but. Just last week, we lost a listing to somebody that they went with somebody that's cheaper. Yeah. Right. And like I tried explaining, like by all means, but I know you're going to lose money because I know that person doesn't give one shit about you. Yeah. I knew who the other one was, and most times it's going to be. And I'm like, you're going to save yourself $8,000, but you're going to lose money because I know they're not going to be doing what's best for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like sometimes like that's part of like why I make so much content too. So people can get to know me.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people do, but not everybody. But yeah, like I'm glad that you had that experience and that you went through that. Cause like it's going to be the same pitch from any realtor to a person, right? I'm going to do what's best for you. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And how are they not going to believe Well, they decide if they believe it or not, but it's the same shit coming out of all our mouths.
Yeah, but there's also some people are more willing to trust somebody, and other people are like, they have trust issues and they don't want to trust people, right? So it's not just you, right?
Totally.
It's not always you. It's sometimes it's just they're the person who is very hard to trust people. So you got to work a bit harder to gain their trust. But I think just being yourself, right, is the best way to get someone to trust you.
Totally.
You know, you get caught in a lie, and there goes your trust. You know, you can't, if you're just bullshitting, oh yeah, this house is great, like that guy, right? Like I caught him in a bit of a lie as far as the quality of the one house. And he's like, oh yeah, it's great. I'm like, well, this looks like it needs some work. Oh, it's like, that's no big deal. And I'm just like, dude, you didn't even like, man.
Yeah.
No, sorry. I don't like you.
Yeah.
You did not work for my trust. But like, I mean, it's just.
And you know, I think what I've learned over the years, like I've always said that my industry is super soft. Like there's so much opportunity. There's so much work.
Yeah.
But as I've been going on and getting exposure to other industries, a lot of them are soft. And it's just, if you can work hard and do what's best for the people you're working for, there's opportunity in all facets of business.
Yeah.
But the problem is, I would say, I don't know if I want to say the majority. I don't know if I want to say most, but a safe way to say it is there's a lot of people out there that when you hire them, they do not give a shit about the person and they're just doing what's best for them.
Yeah.
And like that's in all industries. So it's about finding those people that you know that they're going to align their goals with yours.
And it's also like kind of stereotypical of sales, right? Like the car salesman, the used car salesman, right? Like they're just trying to make a sale, right?
Yeah. Same with realtors.
Yeah.
We got such a bad rep and for good reason.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. And then like, as far as like, I remember like when we were considering like looking into other houses and stuff. And the first time you're like, listen, I can't be there, but I'm going to send one of my people. Right. Like I can't even remember who it was the first time.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. But I remember like, I was like, but I want you.
Yeah,
like,
no doubt.
I want you. And that's got to be tough for you too, because people want you. Right.
Yeah.
And when like, it's the same with landscaping. Like if they're like, hey, Frank, I want you to do this. And I send somebody else, they're like, you're not Frank.
Yeah.
Like I wanted Frank there because I know Frank knows, like, I don't know who you know, that's a difficult thing to pass the torch onto someone and to keep that trust with the customer that the person you chose, you have to trust that I chose the right thing.
Exactly.
Right. So that's
part of the scaling thing. That's all tough. Like,
yeah.
Like right now I have Ronnie and Kev. Then I have Vlad. That's like a side thing. Have you met Vlad?
I haven't met Vlad yet. I think we spoke maybe briefly on the phone.
Yeah, Vlad's great.
Yeah.
He's my super Ukrainian hero.
Yeah, that's
Love
awesome.
the guy. But
That's
he's out in Ottawa. It's like a different thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Ronnie and Kev, I've only had a couple instances where somebody's like, if it's not you, I'm not going to work with Right Choice.
Yeah, it will happen.
Yeah, it will happen. And like, it sucks when it happens. But like, yeah, the people that work with me, they're getting all of me into them. And that's like, I personally find it interesting when somebody's like, if I can't have you, I'm going to go with a different company. And I'm like, I just find that so, I don't know what the right word is because, okay, so now you're going to go with another company and you're going to get somebody way worse. Yeah. So I know, okay, if you want to think that the person that you're getting from me isn't me. So if you think they're not as good as me for whatever reason, maybe they just like my curly hair better, whatever the reason is.
Yeah.
But then you're going to pick somebody that's like, okay, you don't like Kev or Ronnie's hair, but then.
Yeah, they just want to deal with you.
Yeah. Right? But then if not, then like, it's just funny that.
But you know, at the same time.
It's so rare. That's so rare. That's like literally a fraction of a % of people, but it happens.
Yeah. I remember like I've dealt both with Kev when we were dealing with some mom's place, and I've dealt with Ronnie too, because we went and looked at a couple properties, and I was happy with both of them. I mean, like I was actually really impressed with Kev, like how comprehensive his overview was of the property and what it's worth and comparable properties, and like he did the maths on that place. And
Kev spends a large part of his waking hours pricing properties.
Yeah. And he's damn good at it.
He is.
Yeah. It was he's just like, here's the data.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, that's facts, bro. Like,
Yeah.
he's just like, I'm just spitting facts.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, it's not like, hey, Kev, what do you think my house is worth? And he's like, I'm not going to tell you what I think it's worth. I'm going to tell you what it's actually worth because there's the data.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And the data, like for Niagara region, ChatGPT hasn't figured out how to price out houses. Out in Toronto and like LA, like these big cities, you can use AI.
Really?
Well, it's going to be way more accurate than like when you do it around here. Because like in Niagara,
we have a lot of variety
and not a huge number of sales. So you have to be able to comb through the data. Yeah. Like I'm not sure when AI can reproduce that in a rural area.
Eventually.
Oh, are we going to the AI conversation?
We can go wherever you want.
I know. That's why, like, when I hit record, I'm like, how long are we going to make this? Because
we could go on. Oh, dude, we've sat and talked for 8 hours before straight for sure. We could go on forever. Yeah,
I think we padded up RC enough if anybody's still listening at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I've never done in a podcast, because these are longer formats, and I don't like as you know, with my contents, the pizza reviews get good action. The podcasts don't get a ton, right? Like it's a small
podcast is more of a nuanced audience.
So like for me, I already know, like, one, I'm not great at podcasting yet. I wouldn't say I'm the worst, but I'm not great yet.
Yeah. Well, you'll get there.
But also it's a long format, but I want to try something right now that if anybody is listening now, I want to encourage them to leave a comment. What are these things called again? Floppy disk. Blue floppy disk.
That's a really floppy disk.
It's really floppy.
That's really
Well, it's a coaster.
Yeah, I know.
If anybody comments blue floppy disk, what would we do for anybody that does that? I'm not going to buy them a pizza, because what if all of a sudden 1,000 people do it?
Yeah, you got to be careful what you wish for. You're the first person to comment blue floppy disk.
The first person that comments blue floppy disk on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'll definitely say this. If you see me and Frank Biggins out, I'll definitely buy you a drink or a pizza if we're at somewhere.
That's what you got?
I don't know. You got something better? You want to offer something?
A pizza Joe, pizza happenings, pizza guy.
You get a pizza.
First person to write blue floppy disk in the comments.
Don't tell anybody to do it.
I'm going to do it because I want a free pizza. You didn't disqualify me.
I am doing it right now. You can't win it. Okay, first person that says blue floppy disk on YouTube, right. I will buy a pizza.
All right. I'm not telling anybody about the blue floppy disk. We'll just let it happen.
Because you know how miraculous it would be that somebody stuck around for an hour, 20 minutes? Like
somebody will watch the whole thing. Yeah.
You think GIF will? I don't think he'll make it through.
Gifford? He doesn't want to hear what us two schmucks got to say.
I know.
No, he might. He might listen to it. He better, because I listened to his friggin' 3-hour podcast.
I know. I can't wait to have him on. You know what's funny? I threw his on the other day, and when I was doing them before, I had everything recording. So like, just like here, I had it recording at first. So we were talking before he knew it was recording.
Yeah.
And like the beginning of his podcast is I love a good conspiracy theory.
Yes.
I wanted to, like, I almost want to have him on and just talk about conspiracy theories and see.
You guys got talking about like ghosts and stuff like that.
Did we?
Catching a ghost. Oh yeah, I remember.
We got into that stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so sick.
Yeah. Well, he did anyway. He was talking about whatever show it was, and it's been how many seasons, and they still haven't caught it. Maybe next season.
Oh yeah. That's the gold thing or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it was.
GIF's amazing.
Yeah.
He was a pretty good inspiration for me coming out of high school.
Yeah, 100%. Agreed.
Yeah.
Awesome person.
Yeah. Imagine all teachers were like him. I wonder what it would have turned out like. I don't know.
I like a little bit of variety.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's what makes GIF is that he's GIF and he's unique, right?
He's retired now.
Yeah, I know. Retired. I was at his retirement party.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
Remember we went there? Yeah.
Where else can we pivot to? There's no way that we can do this without getting into some deep trenches of philosophical shit. There's no way.
We can talk about whatever, man.
I'm not even going to smoke one to get into it because if I do, you'll warp my mind. But you know what one that I think about once in a while that I forget?
What's that?
Is the free will. Do we have free will? Because when you bring that up, it hurts my head.
Well, yeah.
Wait, you don't want to skip right to that one?
We can talk about whatever. Like, I'm not an expert on all this stuff. I'm the type of person where I like to read. I like to learn about everything. I am interested in the big questions of the world. And
so, like, what is the meaning of life?
Yeah, all that stuff.
Do you have an answer to that one? Do you want
Sure
to skip to that one?
Sure, I do.
Okay.
The meaning of life?
Yeah.
You want to know what the meaning of life is?
Do you have the answer?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Okay, let's hear it.
The meaning of life is whatever you want it to be.
It's a good answer.
That is the meaning of life.
Yeah.
There is no imposed meaning. Meaning is something that we come up with, right? Like purpose. What's your purpose in life? Mm-hmm. Well, purpose is something that we impose on things. Like what's the purpose of a hammer? What is it?
Depends what you're using it for.
Yeah, if you're using it for a paperweight, the purpose of it's not to hit nails.
Yeah.
So the purpose of a life is no different than the purpose of anything else. The purpose
is a good answer.
Something that you like. What do you want? What the meaning of life is whatever you want it to be, right? Like what do you want to do in your life?
Is there some philosophers that would disagree with that?
Probably. Philosophers can disagree with everything. There's probably not one question that all philosophers agree on.
What are some of their things that they say the meaning of life is? Because that's a pretty good answer that I agree with. It's what you make of it. And
I don't know.
Yeah, and
some people would say there's no answer to the question, right? Like,
and I think that what you said, it's whatever meaning you come up with. I think there's a lot of people that haven't come up with that for themselves.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like think of it. Like, do you want to be told like what to do in your life? Like, would you like the government?
I don't.
Would you like the government to tell you what your job's supposed to be?
They tell us enough.
Yeah. Or anything, right? Like, would you like somebody else telling you what to do with your life? Probably not.
No.
Right? That's goes against freedom.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you want to do what you enjoy, right? Like, you want to be free to make those choices if you have free will, whenever we get back to that. But
yeah, I want to get back to that.
As far as like, I mean, life is what you make of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you like to play music, then the meaning of your life is to make music, right?
Yeah.
If you're a family person, then the meaning of your life is to be a father or a mother, right? Or a caregiver or
Do you think
whatever.
everybody wants to be happy?
I think generally, it's hard to say. It's hard to say.
It's hard
to say if everybody wants to be happy. I mean, because do you want to be always happy? Well, no, right? Because how do you even understand what happy is unless you've ever been not happy, right? Like, you have to have
You're
a little
such
bit
a
of
philosopher.
both.
I love it.
Well, it's just it's.
I know.
I don't know. I like to think about these things, and there's the reason I like it is because you can't just Google the answer, right? You have to use your brain and think through it, right? Like, I don't think I'd want to be happy 24/7 all the time, right? Because, like, sometimes you want to be sad. Sometimes you want to, like, if somebody dies, you don't want to be happy about that, right? You that's time to grieve, time to be sad, right? And it's times like that make you appreciate what happiness is,
Totally.
right? So
free will. Let's get to that one. I like that one. That one hurts my head.
It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing because what matters, especially when it comes down to like philosophical and logical argumentation, definitions matter. They're very important.
Right.
So when you say free will, what do you mean by free will?
Do what I want.
To do what you want.
Yeah.
Then sure, you have free will because you can do what you want.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's not always what everyone means by free will. There's different definitions of free will. Like, yeah, do you have free will to do what you want? Sure, you can do whatever you want.
Just repercussions.
That's if that's how you define free will, then yes, you have free will.
Yeah.
But some definitions of free will are the fact that you could have you chose to do something, but you could have chosen otherwise, right? Like, you have two decisions, A and B, and you chose A, but you could have chose B, And if we rewound the clock and you had that choice again, you could have chose the other thing. That definition of free will, the ability to have chosen otherwise, I don't think is real. I don't think you could have chosen otherwise. Like, I think
so?
Well, the way I feel
This is
that
where my mind's starting to warp already.
when you make a decision, right, about something.
I'm deciding to drink from this cup.
Yeah. Now, why did you decide to drink from that cup?
That's my mouth starting to get a little parched from us talking so much bullshit.
Okay. So that's a good reason to drink from the cup.
Yeah.
So if your mouth's getting parched and there's water available and you can choose to drink it, why would you choose not to?
Yeah, why wouldn't I?
Right? So
Just to be thirsty.
a lot of the times the choices you make, you wouldn't have made any other choice. Right? Like whenever you make a choice, like I'll give you a very simple choice. Okay. No strings attached. Okay. There's no strings attached to this whatsoever. I have in one hand $100 bill and I have in another hand $1.
100, thank you.
You're going to take the 100.
Thank you.
Why would you ever choose the dollar unless there was some stipulation or some,
unless
you're
that
trying to
had a
prove
good,
something.
good serial number on it was worth $101. Yeah.
People generally, like just survival instincts, we're always trying to make the best choice. Always trying to make the best choice. So when you choose to do something, you're doing it for whatever reasons at the time that you think this is the best choice. Right? And it may not be for the right reasons. You might choose something not that you're going to get in trouble for doing, but you chose it because it's going to be fun or exciting. Right? So there are reasons people choose to do things. And the only reason why we think you could have chosen otherwise, it's because after we make the choice, in hindsight, we think, if I didn't do that, the outcome would have been different. But you did do that, and there's no changing it. You know? And like, if you have a choice between A and B, and you chose A, okay? Now imagine a world where you could rewind time right back to the moment before you made that choice. And every single molecule and particle in the universe was in the exact same position. And then you let it go again. What makes you think that you would have chose something different? What changed? How can you change that was going to happen? Right? So
I follow.
all of our choices are either deterministic, where for all of the things that happened before, you chose to do this. There's all the reasons in your head, some that you're aware of and some that you're not aware of, right? That's determinism, right? Like it was just determined that it was going to happen. If it's not determined, then it's random, like chance. And whether it's determined or random, either way, you didn't choose. Like you made a choice, you made a decision, you made a conclusion.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have chose the other thing no matter what you do. You chose that for all of the reasons. And there's the reasons are so many that you can't even comprehend it. You would go insane to understand every single reason why you made this one choice.
So there's no free will.
Depending on the definition, there may or may not be free will. It depends how you define it.
So how is it not free will? Because it's already been determined.
Yeah, it's already been determined. So you didn't have a choice.
Even though I made the choice, I didn't have a choice.
You came to the conclusion. Yeah. See, we definitely like.
So what's the opposite?
What do you mean by choice, right? This is why philosophy and stuff is interesting.
By choosing whatever that
Because
was.
like, if I go in to buy a car and I choose a car, I made a choice. Sure. The question is, could I have chosen something different?
Yes.
And my answer is no.
No.
I would have always chosen that.
If you rewound it right before, what if you rewound it a little bit more? That doesn't work because
unless what changed? At the moment that I made a decision or that I came to a conclusion, I came to the best conclusion I could come to for all of the given factors.
Yeah, because for example, what we're saying here is if I went to go buy a car and I bought it and then a year later, or not even next day, it was falling apart and all this shit. So what we're saying is if I rewound the clock,
You would still buy the same car.
I would still buy it because that hadn't happened yet.
Yeah, because you don't know. The only reason you really think about, oh, I made the wrong choice is after the consequences happen and you analyze them after the fact.
Yeah, exactly.
It's in hindsight that we look back at our choices and say, oh, I wish I could have done something else. But just because you wish you could have done something else, or you could imagine what it would have been like had you done something else, doesn't mean you could have done something else. Whatever you did, because in that specific moment in time, that was the best choice for you.
Yeah.
Given all of your life experiences and everything else. It's like there are certain things you just can't choose. So there are certain wants and needs that you have. Like, for example, do you like chocolate or vanilla better?
Chocolate.
Right? So if you like chocolate better, you can't just choose to like vanilla better. Right? You like chocolate better for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You can't just choose to like vanilla if you don't like vanilla.
Yeah, it's just your preference.
Right. So when you go to the store and you choose a type of ice cream and you choose chocolate, why would you have chosen vanilla?
Yeah.
Right? You can't choose to something
So why
you
do
don't
I
like.
like chocolate better than vanilla?
I have no idea.
I don't know either.
Is
that random?
I don't know. Maybe it has all has to do with when did you first have chocolate? What was your experience when you first had chocolate? Like maybe someone had vanilla when they were sick and it made them throw up, and now they don't like vanilla because their memory ties vanilla to throwing up. I don't like vodka anymore because I had a bad experience with that. No, not really.
Actually?
Yeah, I had some bad vodka experiences in the past, so now I just don't like vodka.
Would you drink it?
I'd rather not.
But if we were going out on the night of town and the only thing out was vodka, we would drink it.
No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't even drink?
I'd probably not. I just don't like it.
What if we me and you just played the World Series of Poker, we got heads up and we ended up chopping first and second and all they had was vodka? I'm pretty sure we would drink that freaking bottle.
Probably not.
Wow. You don't like vodka?
I might be like, I'll take a shot, but I wouldn't like it. Wouldn't enjoy it.
What are some other philosophical? That one. So is that free will or no free will then? What are you saying?
What I'm saying is it depends on how you define it. It depends on what you mean by free will. Like I said, you said free will is that I can do what I want.
Yeah.
Well, you can do what you want. So you have free will. Sure.
Yeah.
Right?
We didn't get into the repercussions. Is that part of the free will's repercussions? Being able to do whatever you want?
Well, I mean, that's part of it, I guess. Like whenever you make choices or decisions, like your actions have consequences.
I guess we'll build off it a little bit with maybe the freedom. I don't even know if that's philosophical, but freedom's a little bit different. Everybody feels free different ways.
Yeah, I mean, freedom is one of those things where, like anything to the extreme, like when you take freedom to its extreme, you realize that like total freedom is probably not a good thing.
No.
Right?
But no repercussions for your actions?
Well, it's not that there's always going to be repercussions to your actions, right? Mm-hmm. But the question is, when it comes to like freedom, like should you be free to murder people? Like, right?
Well, we are in certain circumstances, just not anybody. Like if we go to war, we're allowed to kill people. But we're not allowed to go down the street and shoot somebody we don't like.
War is not technically murder. Like murder has a very legal, specific definition, right?
Okay, so when you say murder, I think
like
kill
an
somebody.
Unwarranted killing of someone, like you killed them, they didn't do anything, like you just murdered someone.
Okay, so when I think murder, I just think killing someone.
Yeah,
but like when you say murder, you mean like not war. War doesn't count.
Yeah, like that's something that where. Like, do you want to be free? The way I see it is when it comes to like there's two ways to figure out what your freedoms are. Mm-hmm. One way is that you have no freedoms, and then we start giving you freedoms one at a time. Mm-hmm. That's a very difficult way of doing it because then you have to consider things. The other way is that you have all possible freedoms, and then we start restricting them when we find conflicts.
That's basically how we do it. Right?
Generally the way we do it. So you have all freedom possible until your freedom conflicts with someone else's freedom. Mm-hmm. Okay? Because like I'm not free to hoard all the resources of the world because then you're not free to do that as well. Mm-hmm. So there has to be some common ground, right? Mm-hmm. Like your freedom has to have limits in order for everyone to have an equal shot at the deal.
Limited freedom.
You have to have some kind of limited freedom to have freedom at all. Yeah. Because the extreme version of freedom means that someone's not free.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
And then no freedom's not going to work.
Yeah. No freedom's bad. That's
Will ultimate. There be a point where there's no freedom then? Because you only lose freedom as time goes on.
Well, it's questionable. I mean, I don't know. I can't see that far into the future. It's possible. I mean, clearly the more things happen, the more laws get put in place. Like you were free to never wear a seatbelt because there wasn't any. Now you're not free to not wear your seatbelt.
Did you ever see those old videos when they brought in seatbelts?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Was it
seatbelts? Did you see that video where people were complaining that they weren't allowed to drink beer in their car?
The one.
That's hilarious.
When they took away.
Yeah.
This is Nazi Germany. I can't
You're
drink.
not allowed to drive and drink anymore, right?
What man doesn't want to drink a beer on his way home from work?
Yeah.
This is Nazi Germany.
Right? But, because actions have consequences, what we want to try to do is we want to, try to make the decisions. Basically the way I see it is if everybody did what you're about to do, would the world be a better place or worse off or neutral? It wouldn't change anything. And if it would be better, then that's okay. And if it would be worse, then that's not a good thing. And you probably shouldn't do that.
Are you satisfied with the system we have in place here with freedoms?
I think there's always room for improvement. There's always room for improvement.
It's interesting because I had some conversations about different parts of the world and how there's places that are way different, where the war's going on now over there, their life over there is way different.
Oh yeah.
Than what we have here. And I was talking to one guy in Saudi Arabia not too long ago.
Yeah.
And he was telling me that there's basically there is slavery that exists there now.
Yeah.
And he was telling me about what that's like.
Yeah.
And we're in a good spot compared to some of the worst spots.
Just listen to some of the stories of the people who managed to escape from North Korea. That's one of the worst places to live, right? Are we doing better here than in other places? Yeah.
What are some improvements you think that our society could see with freedoms or something or anything? Because it's so difficult.
So it's interesting. The way you phrase it is interesting because you're what's some things that our society could do better? But society is a very complex machine, right? There's the political end of things. There's the economic end of things. There's the societal end of things. It's a pretty big spectrum and there's a lot of moving parts. But there's definitely some things we could do given our current technology that would make the world a better place for sure. For example, there are certain things, if you look at the basic things people need, they need food, they need shelter, they need healthcare, and education.
Is this Maslow?
No, this is Frank.
Okay.
Maslow's not here.
Okay.
Those are the things that I think you need.
Yeah.
Food, shelter, healthcare, right? And education.
Yeah.
Right? And social structure, family and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So some of those things, like housing, is very expensive, right?
Very.
That's one of the things we need the most.
Mm-hmm.
Is where we shouldn't have to pay so much for housing.
Mm-hmm.
Housing, the things we need the most of, food, shelter, right, education, and healthcare. Those should be the things that we do our best to make sure everyone has those things. Because if you have those core fundamental things met, then from there stems all the other possible things, right? If you don't have food, you're going to die.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't have housing, then you're going to suffer the elements, right? If you don't have healthcare, you get injured or sick, you got no help. If you don't have education, you can't be productive and, be whatever. So you need those things. And whenever you don't have one of those things, you can find, I think, a lot of the problems with people in society that cause issues with it, they're lacking one of those four things strongly.
Yeah, I could see
right?
that.
There's a good portion of them. So I think focusing on making sure that those things are guaranteed for every citizen is just one simple thing, right? Well, maybe it's not simple to implement.
No, definitely not.
But it's one thing that I think should be worked towards, right? Like, what is our goal as a society? What is our goal as a civilization?
As a group?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Right? Because, like,
collectively, I don't know what it is.
That's a huge problem.
Yeah.
That's a huge problem, right? We don't know. We don't know what we should be doing as a society. Yeah. Like, we know what we should be doing in our given situation.
Yeah. And I know me and what I'd like, but as a whole, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's aligned.
But our thought process of what, like, when we say, well, what does successful mean to you? That's all tainted by this current society we live in, right?
What does success mean to you?
Success to me is
lots of sex.
Yeah. It's just so much sex. That's success.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is, no.
Success.
Yeah.
This is a good one.
Yeah. For me, it is well-being. That is my measure of success. So anything that increases, improves well-being, my well-being, is my measure of success. Like, am I healthy? Am I happy? Do I have those things met that we talked about before? That's my measure of success.
It's definitely a question that's different for everybody.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, but that's part of the problem, right? Part of the problem is that we're not all on the same page, right? If someone's goal of success is acquiring all the wealth, well, that's going to come at the cost of a lot of other people.
Yeah.
If you have all the wealth, then someone has to have none.
Well, if you have it all, everyone else has none.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Right? So we need our goals to align with, like, human well-being, and they don't. They don't.
There's too many people. When you mentioned your definition of success, you said one word that really plays on it for me, because for me, success is like a moving target, because to me, success is part of the journey and it's not the destination.
Yeah.
To me, it's not about acquiring all the wealth or a portion, X amount of wealth or X position or selling a number of houses. To me, it's moving target of just making improvements and getting better.
Yeah.
And constantly making improvements.
Yeah.
So, like you said, improve.
But improving increases your well-being.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So our definitions definitely align.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like the more you know, the better decisions you can make, the more tools you have at your disposal to make your life and the life of the people around you better. So I use well-being as my metric for success, for morality. Like, what should we or shouldn't we do? Well, is it going to help people or is it going to hurt people? Right? Is it in the best interest of everybody? Like, if everyone does this, is it going to be good or bad? Right? And that's kind of how, like, a lot of things are, like, situational. But I mean, there's got to be something. Like, I would argue that there's not one person that doesn't care about well-being, because those who don't care about well-being,
their own or others,
they're not being their own. Yeah. But the funny thing is that we are a very social species, and what happens to somebody if you isolate them in their isolation? They go crazy, right? We've seen this in all kinds of psychological experiments.
Yeah.
People go crazy if they're just by themselves.
Did you see that mouse experiment? Did I send that to you? The Hope one?
Yes, I think you did.
Did you see that?
I think you did.
I was completely wrong when I tried to guess it.
Yeah?
I'm going to just reinforce what that one was.
Sure.
We're getting close to the end of this,
Yeah, that's good.
That one was, they did a test where they put mice in water.
Yeah.
And let them swim until they drown.
Yeah, and then if they help them a little bit, they'll go longer.
Yeah, right? I thought they would die quicker.
No.
Because I thought that they would just give up knowing that they were going to get saved.
No.
Because they got saved right before they died. Have you seen the white rice or the rice experiment, that Japanese guy? I've always wanted to do it. I've never done it. Is you cook up some white rice.
Yeah.
You put same amount, whatever, 2 jars.
Yeah.
You label 1 jar ugly and 1 jar.
Yeah, I've seen that. I'm a little skeptical about it.
Are you?
Yeah.
I want to try that one.
Yeah, they do that with water too. Freeze water, and then you label it weird things, and then the picture looks different.
But it's not just about labeling it. For 1 month, you talk to both jars.
Yeah.
One you talk shit to every day for 30 days, and the other one you talk good stuff.
Yeah.
And then the one that you talk shit to is supposed to mold after a certain period of time.
Yeah.
You don't think that would happen?
I don't know. I'm yet to see.
We should try that experiment.
We can.
You're more likely to do it than me because I've been wanting to do it for about 7 years and I haven't done it.
That's the type of thing where like you have to do that experiment over and over and over again and get the data. Because what if you mess something up, didn't close that can properly, right? And that one you never know. Scientific experiments are like rigorous. It's not just like, oh, I did it, so it must be right. Like,
there is that water one too. There is a water one like that.
Yeah, you need to be able to replicate it over and over again and consistently get the same results. Like if you just do an experiment once, it tells you nothing. It tells you it worked one time. But if you do it 100 times and it works every time, then you have a higher degree of confidence that that's in fact the case. But if it happens once the other way, that could have threw everything you just did out the window. Well, now it's wrong, right? It's like the black swan fallacy.
What's that?
So like, let's say that you make the claim that all swans are white. Every white swan you see supports that claim. So I see a white swan. Oh, all swans are white. I see a white swan. All swans are white. So every single swan you see that's white, you can have 1,000, 1,000,000 white swans. You have 1,000,000 swans that support that case. But all you need is one black swan to prove that entire claim false. So it's more important to try to falsify your claim than try to support it, right? Because if you can falsify it, then it's wrong. If you can't falsify it, like that's what science tries to do, is they try to prove themselves wrong. That's what they're supposed to do, right? Because just think about it. If you're trying to make an argument for something, you can go find a whole bunch of things that sound good towards that argument. But if you just have one thing that completely annihilates that argument, that's all you need. You just need one defeater, right?
Very true.
Falsification is an important process of the process.
Black swan fallacy.
Black swan fallacy. I don't know if it's the black swan. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's a fallacy. This is black swan thing.
Yeah, that works for me.
Look it up.
That works for me. Is there anything you want to talk about? I still have one last thing, but is there anything else you want to talk about while we're here?
Oh, we crushed it, man. That was good. We talked about a little bit everything. We talked about business, starting business, how I started a business, talked about your business, talked about free will and philosophy.
Because as soon as we shut this down, we're probably going to talk for another 40 minutes before you leave.
Maybe. What time
piss.
is it even? I don't even know what time it is.
I don't know. I still got to eat dinner. 9:08.
9:00, yeah. So,
PM.
yeah. I got to go home. I have a family to go to. I can't sit here and talk to you all night.
I want you to get the 13th person to give them a pizza.
You want me to give the 13th person a pizza?
That says that types in blue.
Okay.
Because I don't know if it'll get that high. 13th person.
13th person.
My list kicked
13th
in.
person. Cup and cha.
13th person that types in on YouTube a comment.
On YouTube. Has to be YouTube?
Has to be YouTube.
Okay.
Blue floppy disk.
So you buy the first one, I'll buy the 13th.
Person a pizza.
Let's make it the 100th. Let's push.
It won't get that high. You want to go that high?
Let's push it. Let's push it.
It'll never get there.
No?
Well, I shouldn't say never.
Not that kind of attitude.
It'll be forever.
Setting the bar low.
Bro, we'll get like maybe 2 content comments. So like putting it.
Not if you're giving away free pizzas.
Oh, no. There's going to be literally maybe 6 people that make it this far. And then in the foreseeable future, the only way more people get here is if I do podcasts for 10 years and then they start going back to these old ones.
We'll see.
Just to see what they're like.
We'll see.
So the
challenge is out there.
Okay, you got 13.
I'll do 13.
Yeah, I like it.
All right.
I mean, you got a little caveats there, right? Because we never, like, what pizza, how did they get it this side or the other? There's a little bit of loose ends to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's standard deal. It's whatever you do. Your standard.
Yeah, cheese pat.
Yeah, just a cheese pat.
Yeah.
What do you do, medium or large?
Large ski.
You do large? So yeah. large cheese pat pizza.
I like it.
From wherever you think's good. You're the pizza guy.
Yeah, that's the thing that makes it a little bit tricky. I don't know how it would work if somebody was like, in Saudi Arabia how we get them a pizza, but we'll figure it out. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Last one.
Okay, let's go. Shoot.
Well, you probably haven't seen this question. You don't know the question I'm going to ask you. That tells me you haven't made it to the end of one of my podcasts.
Oh,
that's fine. That they're long and there's a lot of stuff.
I haven't made it.
I've asked everybody at the end.
Okay.
If you were on death row, what would your meal be?
Ribs.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Pork or beef?
Probably pork ribs. I like me
you like the ribs.
Good old rack of ribs.
I didn't know that you were such a rib lover.
Good old rack of ribs. Just nice, juicy.
Who makes the best ribs?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know who makes the best ribs.
Your
Are you
favorite?
kidding me? There's probably somebody over in Saudi Arabia who makes the best ribs, and we're going to have to ship them a pizza.
No,
in exchange for ribs.
So you like good old, see, I like ribs, but I don't know.
I like ribs.
I guess I could have a couple. What else? You would just have a great big plate of ribs and nothing else?
Just as many ribs as I could eat.
Nothing else?
No, just ribs. They'd have to be.
Is that a
ribs,
real
though.
answer?
Yeah.
So you're telling me right now they come in here and it's execution time. The only thing you don't want an OV.
Can I change my answer?
Yeah, of course you can.
My mom's chicken wings.
Yeah, I love those too.
I would just have my mom's chicken wings until I couldn't eat anymore.
I love those things too. I had a whole bunch of them at your birthday party.
Yeah. That's what I
would do.
Ribs.
Bro,
and
it's
ribs.
yeah.
Okay, I'll have two. Yeah, I'll have both.
Yeah,
ribs and wings.
Nothing else? This is what I mean. Death row. See,
who cares? You're going to die soon anyway. I don't really give a shit.
Yeah, you're just going to go out. You don't want
just
ice cream
whatever.
sundae?
No.
An OV?
No.
Just water? Not even. You don't even want to drink?
Maybe I don't even want to eat. Maybe it's going to make it worse.
Well.
Right? I don't know.
This is
all depends.
Ribs and wings.
Yeah. Ribs and wings.
No pizza?
No.
Ribs and wings.
No, you've had enough pizza for everybody on this planet.
Oh, I'm just getting started.
Woo!
This was good, bro.
This was very fun. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
I hope we can do it again.
Yeah, I'd love to.
People that, in case they, for some reason, were taking a piss or eating.
Yeah.
When you want to contact Biggins for landscape happenings, you go to his Facebook page.
Yeah, Facebook page, phone number 289-668-4883. That's me.
And can get all your landscape. You have a landscape question, this is the spot to go.
This is the spot to go. I will have a solution for your landscape questions, guaranteed.
Yeah, I think that's a very safe guarantee.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Brosco.
Thanks you.
Cheers.
Broscos.